help?
911, where's your emergency?
I need an ambulance right away. My son just overdosed on heroin.
What's your address?
Please.
What's your...
He's unconscious. Please, hurry.
Okay, hold on. Stay on the phone with me, okay?
Okay.
One,
Please hurry. Please hurry.
Is he breathing?
I don't know. I don't... David, why isn't he breathing? Yes, but I can't wake him up. I can't wake him up. Please hurry.
Stay on the phone with me. Stay on the phone with me, okay?
Okay.
Get the ambulance going. Just stay on the phone.
Sit broken and disregard the day, throwing stones in water as your father fades away. I say I'm here for the best.
In the short span of this film, we will expose and discuss the dangers of teenage drug use and its impacts on individuals, their families, and the community. From initial experimentation to casual social use to consuming addiction, the path for teenage drug users is well known among health professionals and feared by parents. Incapacitation, loss of potential, and death can result from an adolescent's increasing dependence on illicit or improperly used drugs such as heroin or prescription pills. In the extreme, families are left grieving after the loss of a loved one. Recreational use can easily lead to full addiction, something many youths may not fully appreciate. But is this phenomenon new? As early as 3400 BC, the Sumerians cultivated and refined the plant opium, calling it the joy plant. Since then, people around the world have experimented with new drugs. By the middle of the 1900s, the incidence and evidence of teenage drug use increased dramatically. The 1960s included radical change in politics, music, and society around the world, which came to be known as the hippie revolution. The more enlightened hippies saw their task as bringing the world a fundamentally new way of viewing life. Drugs became their preferred vehicle for doing so. On August 15, 1969, the first performances at Woodstock began. Woodstock was a 3-day concert on a dairy farm in New York featuring over 30 bands and artists, playing for an audience consisting of over 400,000, and was as much a drug festival as it was a music festival. By the 70s, music, inhibition, and drugs were so intertwined that the phrase sex, drugs, and rock and roll became the anthem of the drug counterculture. Fast forward to the 90s, and large, loud, crowded, music-filled dances called raves were a popular teen activity that were fueled by modern psychoactive drugs like ecstasy and amphetamines. Today, the epidemic continues with prescription opioids and other pharmaceuticals taking control over countless teen lives.
Okay. The brain is a very complex organ performing innumerable functions, some of which are initiation of motor activity, coordination, speech, memory, critical thinking, risk analysis, decision making. In the central and deep portion of the brain, there is a collection of nerve cells, which it is referred to as a pleasure or reward center. Pleasure is a very powerful biological force for survival. Its center is activated by all kinds of pleasurable activities, such as eating, for instance. But it also activated by recreational drugs. Repeated use of these drugs will eventually damage the creation of nerve circuits, the most important of which is that which connects the pleasure center with the frontal lobes, which, among other functions, analyzes risks and rightly or wrongly allows us to make decisions. Since the frontal lobes in young adults are not yet fully developed, the pleasure center acts alone and once activated will demand more and more pleasure-giving drugs, thus leading to addiction.
The brain includes a complex system of neurons or nerve cells which communicate through neurotransmitters. Taking part in activities such as eating, acts of affection, and taking drugs creates neurotransmitters. Drug use releases dopamine, a specific excitatory neurotransmitter, which is the source of the pleasure. Some drugs such as alcohol, cocaine, nicotine, and heroin create unusually high levels of dopamine flow. A user may start off consuming small amounts, but the buildup of dopamine will result in a tolerance to the drug and a need for higher doses to achieve the same pleasure effect. A teen's tolerance is generally much lower, and the young brain's developing neurons are much weaker. This combination of physiology, dependency, and desensitized pleasure tolerance can, and sadly all too often does, result in overdose. Heroin, cocaine, and prescription pills are common killers, but more popular drugs like marijuana and alcohol can also lead to trouble. Although they may be less addictive, they are just as dangerous and often easier to come by. Marijuana comes in different strains with varying levels of THC, or tetrahydrocannabinol, which is the chemical responsible for most of marijuana's psychoactive effects. The potency of seized marijuana between 1998 and 2010 increased 121% thanks to intentional genetic mutation. Alcohol too is widely accessible. Today there are many liquors sold above 150 proof, including Everclear, which is 95% alcohol. For a 180-pound person, 3 cups of Everclear can be fatal. The danger of alcohol poisoning and death from these beverages presents a problem that teens should know and respect.
The younger you start, I think we know from research now, the more likely you are to develop a problem with it. So we know that when, young people are in college or in high school, they experiment with drugs and alcohol, but the longer you can wait, if you are going to try it, the longer you can wait, the less likely you are to develop a problem with it. Your brain isn't fully developed till you're in your mid-20s. So when you use a chemical before your brain's fully developed, it's more likely to attach, the developing brain, I think, is more likely to attach to that. And you're more likely to, again, have a problem with it.
Despite what they might think, most teens have a lot to learn about the danger of drug use. Although smoking marijuana on occasion or popping a pill at a party to join the fun may seem trivial, the results can sadly prove irreversible. Between the ages of 16 and 17, 11% of casual drug users begin their journey towards addiction. Studies show that 28% of people suffering from addiction first used before they were 15. The younger the person starts, the more likely they are to become an addict. In 2014, 21.5 million people above the age of 12 had a substance use disorder. Drugs and the addicts they create contribute to crime and lost work productivity, along with the need for increasingly costly healthcare. On average, the U.S. spends over $700 billion annually compensating for addiction, which could otherwise bring every person above the poverty line and have enough money left over to maintain and operate all 12 of the U.S. Navy's aircraft carriers for the next century. However, the personal cost of teen drug abuse to individuals and families cannot be measured in dollars, but more painfully in sorrow and grief.
It has become commonplace in youth culture to experiment with drugs. An argument against experimentation may seem like a waste of words to some, but it is quite the opposite. It is important to understand that every addict unable to control their own life started casually. Drugs can destroy the strongest of people, along with their families and their futures. The decision is yours to make. Is your life as important to you as it is to the people around you? Equally important, is your friend's life as important as your own?
I need another story, something to get off my chest. My life gets kinda boring, need something that I can confess. Till on my sleeves I stain red from all the truth that I've said. Come by it honestly, I swear. Thought you saw me weak, no, I've been on the brink, so it's too late to apologize. It's too late. It's too late.